Fala pessoal, tudo tranquilo? Aqui quem fala é Alexandre Weber e dessa vez eu estou aqui com uma grande presença internacional que é nada mais nada menos do que Alessandro Moretti, o Adepto Terra, um jogador italiano, que foi o finalista agora do maior torneio Pauper da história do Pauper, que foi o Paupergeddon, e ele ficou em segundo lugar com o Tron. Além disso, é um jogador muito conhecido do Magic Online, né? O Adepto Terra aí, para quem joga Magic Online, já deve ter jogado contra ele também. Então, nesse vídeo eu vou falar... Eu comecei aqui em português, mas a minha ideia é fazer perguntas em inglês e vão estar elas escritas aqui na tela também, né? Para quem não tá ligado no inglês. E depois eu vou traduzir elas do jeito que dá, né? Eu também preparei aqui algumas perguntas aqui. Eu coloquei em italiano, também não tá muito bom o italiano, mas vamos lá. So, hello, Alessandro.
Salve.
Salve. Fala, galera. I'm I'm very happy to be
Uh,
here with you. And
yeah, it's a pleasure to be here with you in this video. It's I'm just very happy to be able to get again in the top 8 of a Paupergeddon. So, well, I guess we can start about talking the deck and why I chose it, which matchups I found in the Swiss round, I guess.
yeah, nice.
Uh-huh.
So before we
So,
start, I have to tell that you are also a content creator, right? So tell me about
yeah,
your channels.
exactly. So I am a content creator, in Italy. My contents are mostly in Italian, and I mostly stream on Twitch and also upload the replays or new videos on my YouTube channel. You can find me on Twitch by searching for Adepto Terra. And I mostly play control and combo decks. I'm not very well acquainted with aggressive strategies, so most times when I play decks like Mono Red, for example, I do a lot of mistakes. So
Okay.
it's
So
always fun.
so we are going to link your channel on the comment. Eu vou deixar o link do canal dele da Twitch lá para quem quiser conhecer e do YouTube também. And for me, it's the opposite. I'm very good with aggro and mid-range and tempo, but I'm very bad with control decks like Tron, for example. It's funny.
So my decision with playing a tron started, I guess, a couple weeks before the event. I had 3 decks in my options: Affinity, Waltz Combo, and Flicker Tron. The main reason to not play Affinity is just I don't really like playing Affinity in the current metagame because a lot of people are expecting the deck. So you may expect to face a lot of cards like Gorilla Shaman, Dust to Dust, and similar. But since they also banned a lot of cool cards like Sojourner's Companion and Etog in a decent amount of games, you aren't able to put enough pressure on the board to kill your opponent in a decent amount of time. Well, usually it's the opposite because it's kind of staple for Affinity to have 2 or 3 copies of Mirror Enforcer in the first 4 turn.
Yeah, that's the
But
ideal scenario.
I think that the 1 or 2 weeks ago, I also tried Affinity in the Saturday Pauper Challenge, and I lost a couple games because I haven't found the second copy of Galvanic Blast and or Mirror Enforcers, so I was just too much pissed off with the deck, so I decided to not play at all the Affinity for this event. The deck is still strong, so I think that bringing Affinity in this kind of event, in this kind of tournament, is the right choice because if you are good enough with the deck, and if you play enough answers to problematic decks, like in example also the Ephemerate, against also the Ephemerate, you just need to play more copies of Metallic Rebuke and Negate to counter Initiative, 5 mana creature, and also Dust to Dust. You are fine against it. But as I said, I don't. I'm not very good with Affinity. Also, in the mirror match, usually I always lose the Affinity mirror match because I don't want to play Gorilla Shaman. I don't like the kind of card because, in my opinion, it's good only against Affinity. And usually, my opponents with Affinity have a lot of copies of Gorilla Shaman, so
I see.
that's part of the reason why I
Yeah,
lost against
it's a
Affinity.
problem for sure.
The other choice was Combo. In my opinion, the deck is very powerful, very good, because you can play both Drift of Phantasm and Shield Wall Sentinel to have a lot of resiliency, redundancy, and whatever. But the main problem, I think, that it's very weak against both Affinity and Mono Red. I haven't thought you can play Crimson Acolyte, but Crimson Acolyte is mostly good only against Mono Red, because Mono Red doesn't have anymore any mass rival beside any of the festivities that is good against you. So you can manage to win against Mono Red, but against Affinity, whenever they have a Kraken Shaman, most times you can just concede, or at least it seemed to me like that. So also because the event was a day only, only a day one tournament with 10 rounds,
Yeah.
I decided to play Flicker Tron because I think that with so many rounds and so little changes to get in the top 8, it's better to first play the deck you can have more fun playing it, and second, a deck you are very confident with your skills on the deck. So, I mean, I play the deck from 2017, so I think that I have enough experience with the deck to try to play it well enough. So I was sure that in the meta was good, because I was also expecting a lot of mid-range spiles like Boros Synth, gates like Azevedo Gate or Naya Gates, and also Ephemerate. Because in Italy, in the tabletop tournaments, decks like Boros Synth are very popular because people like to have decks that can play with hypothetically every deck they may face. But for the same reason, those mid-range piles usually doesn't always top 8, because they aren't enough linear, and with a lot of rounds, usually linear strategies are uh, have a better chances to do well.
Yeah.
And Flickerton is both a reactive deck, but can be also linear strategies, because when you have 7 mana and 4 copies of Muldrifter, you can do a lot of cool stuff. And well,
Yeah.
I think I did well.
Yeah, there's a lot of good points, and I agree with you a lot about your choices. And for what I see, you have a really good read on the meta. And also the other two choices that you had, that was Walls and Affinity, they both also top 8. So, and you were expecting Boros, and it was one of the most played decks. I don't have the meta here. I should have, but I don't have the meta here. But your read was really nice, and as you said, the fact that you play really confident with the deck also helps a lot in a very, with a lot of rounds to play. So let me translate to the Brazilian audience. Então, explicando aqui o que o adepto respondeu em relação à escolha dele do Flicker Tron, né, nesse torneio. É um torneio de um dia só, né, então isso influenciou bastante, são 10 rodadas. É um deck que ele tá bastante confiante, que ele também vai se divertir bastante, né. As you said, you have fun with Flicker Tron, and it's a really important part. Maybe the opponents won't have fun, but
Oh,
that's another
really
story.
opponent doesn't have any.
E ele também estava pensando no Barreiras e também no Affinity. Mas o Affinity ele tava com um pouco de medo da questão da. Não tava se sentindo tão confiante na questão da Mirror. Ele não gosta de jogar com Gorila Xamã, porque ele não gosta do estilo de jogo da carta. Mas quando ele tá na Mirror, ele acaba sofrendo muito por Gorila Xamã, né? Na Mirror, e acaba perdendo por causa disso. Com o Barreiras, ele falou que ele tem uma dificuldade contra Mono Red e contra Affinity, né? Que são duas bad matches do Barreiras. Mas contra Mono Red até dá pra contornar com Crimson Acolyte. Mas com o Affinity é muito complicado por causa do Krark Clutch Shaman, é bem difícil mesmo de contornar. Então ele acabou escolhendo pelo Tron e, né, acabou se dando muito bem. We also have some questions about the time, about Tron, but we will get there eventually on the video. So let me ask you, maybe the camera isn't in the best place. So how do you qualify for the Paupergeddon?
Well, Paupergeddon is you don't need any qualification. You just need to buy the ticket and then go to play. Paupergeddon is a tournament that we held in Italy 3 times per year. There's the winter edition in Milan around February or March. Then the summer edition in Pisa, which is a city near Florence in Tuscany. And last, we have the autumn edition in October or September in Rome. So it's just a matter when you have time to play and where do you want to play.
Let me ask, all the plays are only these 3 cities every year, or you change from year to year?
No, we decided to play to have only these 3 editions and only these 3 cities. Well, this year for the Milan edition, we switched to a near city, Lecco, because we weren't able to get a place to room 600 people, but only for that reason. Usually we don't go to other cities because now the Paupergeddon is kind of iconic. So the cities where the event is held are well known, and people know Paupergeddon for the cities where it's played.
Very nice. Então aqui eu comecei perguntando para ele como ele se classificou e ele me falou que é um torneio aberto, né? Então ele não precisou de qualificação para conseguir jogar. E ele também falou sobre onde são 3 Paupergeddons por ano e são em 3 cidades diferentes, em Roma e as outras eu não lembro. What is Rome? Roma? What are the other
Roma.
two? Rome?
Roma, Pisa, Milano.
Alright. E é sempre nessas 3 cidades. Mas em alguns casos ali tiveram que trocar alguma cidade pelo número de jogadores que ia jogar o evento, mas são sempre nessas 3 cidades. So let's go to the next question. How much it costs to enter the tournament?
So the entry cost varied from year to year because the first Paupergeddons, when we had attendances of less than 100 people, an example, were only 12 euros. But the last editions, but because just the event went a little more costly due to the cost of the room, the location.
Yeah.
The cost went to 20, 25 or 30 euros per ticket. But anyway, it's really surprising that even considering how much it cost the tournament, because Initial years ago, we never thought of playing a pauper tournament where the entry cost basically cost like a pauper deck in paper. Haven't thought that the tickets went sold out in something like less than an hour from when they started selling it, because due to the COVID pandemic, the tickets started being pre-sold on internet instead of just getting sold in place. So the last editions, you weren't able to participate in just going to the location, but you needed to buy the ticket on the organizer's website, and people just love the format. And since the event is already known as the biggest pauper tournament in the world, people really struggle and want to participate. And to me, is really amazing.
Yeah,
And
it is.
we probably will grow even further.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I hope to see that, for sure. Então eu tava perguntando quanto que entrava, ele falou que há uns tempos atrás, quando tava começando, né, quando tinha menos pessoas jogando os torneios, era 12 euros, mas agora, mais recentemente, com os custos aumentando, né, já que vai ter que ser uma estrutura maior para, né, para conseguir, né, nesse teve 600 pessoas, por exemplo, né, 614, o valor foi 20, 25, 30, tá variando ali entre 20, 25 e 30 euros, o que dá ali uns cento e poucos reais. E também falou sobre, agora esqueci se falou sobre o evento também tá crescendo também, né? E que por causa da pandemia, agora eu lembrei, por causa da pandemia, eles tiveram que começar a vender tudo online. Inclusive, nesse último Paupergeddon, os ingressos foram vendidos em 1 hora ali, como ele falou, né? So, in this one, almost all the tickets were sold in 1 hour, and that was really nice.
Yeah.
Então, so the next question is, what was the feeling playing the biggest tournament in Pauper's history until now? Yet.
I was really excited, and well, from my point of view, I just tried to play every game at my best. So you don't really think when you are playing that you are playing the Beast Pauper tournament, but when you get in the location and see how many people there are there, you can't really believe how many people are in the same place just to play a format that around the world may be considered as something like kitchen table, because you are playing only with the commons. And the coolest part is that we have so many players that we basically play a GP, a Grand Prix, but with a pauper format.
Yeah.
And I do really like if the Paupergeddon will become something like a GP, but I guess we will never get at that point, just because it's pauper, and maybe not all have like pauper, like someone can play standard or modern or pioneer.
Yeah.
I guess the most you probably understand that you are playing the biggest popular tournament in history. You understand it only when you get into top 8, because I mean, the other participant in the top 8, or at least a part of those participants, since we ended the Swiss at 9 p.m., they preferred to split the prizes and also the top 8 and go home. Well, I was of the opinion of splitting the prizes, because there's not really any reason to play for the money when you get in the top 8, because if you lose immediately, you also lose a huge amount of money. But to me, there's absolutely no reason to split at the top 8 when you are in the top 8 of a tournament so much big, because it's the biggest Pauper event in history. So if you get first in history, you are the best Pauper player or something similar. So that's probably tell you how you feel when you're playing and top 8ing that kind of tournament.
Yeah, that was exactly what happened to me on the first national Brazilian nationals. It was only one day. It was on Sunday also, and the tournament ended really late, and the players split the top 8. But as I continued playing, and there was only 5 people playing in the top 8, but I continued playing because I want to be the national champion. And as you said, you want to be the winner of the biggest event. We know that some people have to go home and they have everyone have a family, but they need to go back home. But the winning a tournament, it's a really huge thing. No matter the prize, even the prize being split, the honor of being the winner, the top 8, the top 4, the runner up of a tournament like this is amazing. So eu tava começando a perguntar para ele sobre, né, qual que era o sentimento. Ele falou que na hora ali na hora que ele foi perceber ali a dimensão, né, e também quando ele chegou no top 8. E também falou que parecia um GP ali, né? Um GP Pauper, né? Um Grand Prix Pauper. Isso é muito interessante, né? It's also a dream of mine to have a Grand Prix in the Pauper format, like you said as well. E ele também teve esse sentimento ali, né? Imagina só um GP Pauper em algum momento. Foi mais ou menos a sensação, né? Porque já teve GPs com esse tamanho. We also have GPs on this size. I remember on Brazil, we have a standard GP on 2017 that we had less than this amount of players, and it was an official tournament with, I don't know, $10,000 for the first place, and a Pro Tour invitation, and a lot of people were there just to play Pauper, and that's really, really nice. And it's a good shout out to the organization of the tournament as well, the structure and the ones that made this happen. So I have collected some pictures, and here you are with Heisen, and I don't know which is the other one.
Yeah, that's Zio Francone.
Zio Francone, very nice, Zio Francone. So, and I'm going to ask later about the hat, but here with some other people, and nice picture as well. So you are eating what looks like a potato. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big box of potato chips that Krila Peotier, Pietro Bragiotto, bring from home. I don't know why. Probably he was just hungry.
Yeah, very hungry because it's a really big potato. Mm-hmm. And so we have here, Walker, Heisen, Zio
Walker, Heisen, HJC, HJC.
HGC, all right, from MTGO too. This one is
Il Fritto.
Nice.
Which usually don't play much on Magic Online. We also have Heisen.
Okay, so Heisen here, Heisen from the YouTube channel as well. Go check him out. This one is.
Then we have Francesco Il Grande, which is known as Juzam Jin 95 on Magic Online.
Nice.
He usually don't play much in leagues, but mostly in practice room because don't invest much money on Magic Online. But he's another great player, I believe, because Golden Pigs team is like the best poker players in Italy gathered along.
Oh, I didn't know that. This is the picture of Golden Pigs?
Exactly.
Oh, that's nice. So this is the Golden Pigs, the team that Adepto and these other players are representing. Esse é o time Golden Pigs lá da Itália, um time muito conhecido ali, né, que tem vários ótimos jogadores, a lot of great players. And this is Bragiotto?
Sì, esatto.
Okay,
Sì,
nice.
exactly.
Nice. With his potatoes. So so here we have Walker. Okay, so I'm not showing the faces. Beautiful faces of Adepto and Walker. So here is Walker with the
Straw
Luffy,
Hat.
the chapéu de palha. I don't know how to say
Yeah,
it in
because
English.
Walker started playing a lot of weird cards in Affinity,
Yeah.
like Gabriel Mota, Lupi de Choppo de Paglia did. So for that, and since in the last months only played Affinity, but in tournaments, leagues, etc., we started calling him Paolo do Choppo de Paglia.
Nice.
For that reason, he decided to play the tournament with Astro Et, with a
Nice.
Chopo de Paglia. But instead of playing Affinity with with 4 copies of Spectator Sprite, like he decided to do for the tournament, at the last time he decided to play Mono Red Cool Dota
Yeah.
with the Infinity Goblin card,
Yeah.
the underscore goblin that costs 3 mana, and when it enters on the battlefield, basically it adds a certain amount of mana based on what sticker name you put on it.
Yeah, a really interesting list from Walker. He usually plays Affinity and a lot of different builds with, like you said, supposed to the Sprite, and he was with the hat from Luffy, the Brazilian player, Gabriel Mota. Deixa eu só, let me just translate here. Ele tava com o Walker aqui, ele é um jogador de Affinity, que ele tava com um chapéu aqui representando aí o Luffy, né? O brasileiro aí, o Gabriel Mota. Então, um chapéu bem bacana. Mas nesse torneio ele foi de Mono Red, não de Affinity. Então, interessante. So, let me ask you about your hat. Is this a France flag?
No, it's just a very old hat I found at my father's home.
Okay. From
Basically
the
from when
BMA,
BMW was still
BMW.
playing in the Formula One.
Okay, Formula One. That's nice.
Well, I just liked that, so I
Also,
started playing with it.
oh, that's nice. That's nice. It is a France or Italy flag? On
No,
the
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably it's just something related to the colors which BMW had when they were still playing in the Formula One.
Okay, so
The
this is
Formula
from your grandfather, right? Or father?
Oh, just my father just
Okay.
found it tossed in a
Okay, nice.
round. So I found it and it said, "Oh, that's a really cool hat. I'll
Yeah,
keep it."
it is for sure. Então, aqui o chapéu que o pai dele encontrou e tá usando ali um chapéu ali da Fórmula 1 também, da BMW, bem interessante. So let us continue. So, okay, so we have answered this one. And how was your preparation for the tournament? How was the practice, and do you play a lot of leagues, challenge,
Yes.
your
See,
IRL? What else?
so you can say that something like 1 month before the event, I started playing but walls combo and flickertron, but in but in Magic Online leagues and in paper tournaments like Friday Night Magics, and I mostly played walls combo on Magic Online, trying to understand how's the matchup in against Affinity, but Affinity and Mono Red. And regard of Tron, instead I prefer to play it more on paper because the most troublesome part about Flickertron, since it's a very slow control deck, is that you need to understand when you can how much time you can take to play each game. So I also needed to understand how much fast I was with deck because before the print of Energy Refractor, the last time I played the deck, Prophetic Prism was still legal. So I haven't touched the deck for a very long time. So I needed some practice in on tabletop. I tried different cards, like Lightning Bolt as a win con instead of Rolling Thunder, or different amount of side workout against different archetypes. But I ended with the Paupergeddon deck list. Probably the last changes I made to the deck were dropping the third copy of Moment's Peace, adding another copy of Birth Weapon, cutting one Pulse of Miraza from the main deck, and playing Rolling Thunder over Lightning Bolt. So regarding the how much the deck is slow, I decided to play Rolling Thunder instead of the Nova Horror or Lightning Bolt as a main win condition, because Rolling Thunder is just faster. When you are in late game, you just need to tap 10, 12 mana, bolt your opponent for that much damage. Maybe you can play an Ephemerate or a Mnemonic Wall to bring back the spell and play it again on the next turn. Lightning Bolt seems like better in the current metagame because you may play it both against very aggressive strategies like Mono Red, Mono Blue, and also slow strategies with Korsky Fisher or any white mid-range deck. But generally speaking, probably Rolling Thunder is better in, both on Magic Online and in paper.
Yeah. One thing about Rolling Thunder, to me, it's actually the worst card, but the best one as a win condition, because as you said, it kills really fast, but oftentimes it's a dead card in your hand. So this is why I say it's a bad card in a way, but it's really good at finishing the game, and it's really important.
Also, I say that a good part about the card is that if you are very late game and you have 20 mana, say, you just need to tap 24 and kill your opponent. So if your opponent is playing a deck based on interaction and try to win against you in a fair way, you can play the unfair deck until the end and kill them with the most brutal brutal way with Rolling Thunder. So okay, you have 4 Relic of Progenitus on the battlefield. Sure, great thing. Bolt deals 3 damage, Rolling Thunder deals 15 damage.
That's so true. Então, eu tava perguntando pra ele a preparação, né? Ele falou que tava bastante preocupado, porque a última vez que ele jogou de Tron tinha sido com o Prisma, então ele tinha que pegar bastante a prática de quão rápido ele tinha que jogar em cada uma das partidas, então ele praticou com o deck no IRL também, né, pra ver essa questão. E também falou sobre o Rolling Thunder, que foi uma carta que ele acabou testando, além de algumas outras opções, como não usar 3 passos momentâneos, usar 2, e usar também o Fire Cannonade, ou o Breath Weapon, não lembro, no main deck. Mas, tão bem interessante, ele se preparou bastante ali na questão do tempo, né, até uma coisa que... Okay, so this one you answered previously. So why do you choose Fog Throne for this tournament? And you answer because you are confident and you have fun with the deck, and
also because I think that beside Wolf's Combo, the deck can play well with everything, with everyone.
Yeah, one thing I forgot to address in Portuguese was when you said that even Tron being a reactive deck, as you said on the beginning, even Tron being a reactive deck, it can be really proactive and linear as well when you have a lot of mana and you can play a lot of Moon Drifters and Mnemonic Walls, and it can turn to a reactive to a proactive deck, and it's a really important factor for a tournament like this, a big tournament like this. So let me just translate to the Brazilian audience. Uma coisa que também eu até esqueci de falar no início Mas que ele falou que o Tron também tem alguns elementos, apesar de ser um deck bastante reativo, às vezes depois, se tu tem bastante mana, tu consegue fazer um jogo bem linear e ser bastante proativa com o deck, né? Juntando bastante mana, fazendo muito Muldrifter, Mnemonic Wall e propondo bastante jogo, que é algo bem importante para torneios grandes, né? Completando aqui a resposta. So here we have your... Okay, so let me put you on the side. So we have here your matches on the tournament. And we see here that you lost to Tribe on the round 1, making this tournament a real. I imagine it was. I wonder if it was real nervous and
Yeah,
tense to play
the
0-1.
the saddest thing here is that I know the tribe player because we went to the tournament with the same group because we went 3 cars from the same city of Brescia in Lombardy to the Paupergeddon, and we discussed previously with the same guy what decks playing, and he already was convinced on playing Tribe, so I already know that he was playing Tribe. It's also the same person that recently got a bunch of top 8s in the Pauper Challenge with Tribe.
Okay,
ADM.
so he was using Tribe Inspector as well on the list?
Yep,
Okay,
exactly. Travel Inspector, Fallacy Archaeologist,
yeah.
and also a Red Splash for Flaming Pain in the sideboard. So, from my point of view, a really weird tribalist because I was accustomed with the older tribe with Gash
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
without whiteout or
Yeah,
something.
and it's a really bad match for Tron because
see.
it has a lot of dispels and circular
Mhm.
circular logic, and it's a really a combo
It's
with a lot
difficult
of
as a matchup.
cantrips. Yeah, a really tough matchup.
So you usually can win only one matchup, maybe post side, because you can bring in cards like Pyroblast to interact better. But usually you lose because when you play your Moment's Peace by tapping 2 mana, they have 2 1-mana counter spells, so
Yeah.
usually lose.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I faced him, I said, "Oh no, my tournament is already finished. I can lose only one match now."
Yeah, really
And
tense.
also, I was also really worried when I started facing Kuldota, Mono
Yeah.
Blue first, Kuldota again, and I said, "Oh no, that's the part of the tournament I don't want to face."
Yeah.
And in reality, it went really well.
Yeah.
And I lost one a bunch of game 1 against Mono Red Kuldota and Mono Red Blitz because I didn't had a good end in starting end, but the other games went really well because Tron can be very explosive, especially with Energy Refractor, because Energy Refractor, from my point of view, is even better than Prophetic Prism for this deck because the metagame is faster, and Energy Refractor allow you or require you to be even more faster compared to the previous Tron with Prophetic Prism because every Urza land you play counts both as an Urza land and untapped island. So the deck can be even more faster. And for that reason, keeping a starting hand with Tron right now is kind of easy because if you have the Urza Tron or a hand able to get you the Urza Tron as a turn 4 or turn 5, and maybe you also have an Energy Refractor, most time is a keep.
Yeah.
And also, I noticed that against decks like Kuldota, you just want to have the Urzatron fast and then find teachings because teachings get you both Breath Weapon and Weather the Storm, which probably are the most important cards against Kuldota in game 1.
So let me ask. Okay, so just finish the what you were saying because I have another thing to ask.
I was just saying that against Mono Red Blitz, I lost game one because I think kept with 7 cards and hoping the opponent wasn't mono red on other aggressive strategies because it was already round 5. So the rules land, no color, opponent starting first. I have a Mood Drifter in hand, so if I find an island, I can play my Mood Drifter. Then the opponent started Mountain, turn 2, Lauren from Center. He said, again, oh no. And it's a blitz.
Yeah,
With,
even worse than Kudota for...
No, in reality, I believe that at least post side is better because that deck is weak to removals, and you can play 4 copies of Vindicate, 1 blue mana Vindicate in form of blue mana Blast. But game 2, I mulled down to 4 with 2 Urza's Power Plant, an Energy Refractor, and 1 Blue Elemental Blast. But opponent didn't found the 4th land, and I draw another Blue Elemental Blast, another land, and I managed to go till late game, and then I top decked the last Urza lands and Mystic Circle.
Yeah, so I believe this is the answer for the question I was going to make. I was going to ask you what was the toughest match that you won on the Swiss portion, and I think it was Blitz. From what I said, it was the hardest match that you won.
Yeah, probably in the Swiss round, the match against Mono Red Blitz was the toughest. For that reason, because a multi-4 is always
the multi-4 was on game 3, right?
No, on game 2.
Game 2.
Game 3, I just added everything I needed. The Elemental Blast raining down.
I see.
And teachings from the top deck.
That was crazy. That was crazy, and it's a really tough matchup as well. Even with the Hydra, as I said, it's a really good card and helps a lot and makes the matchup easier for sure. But even though it's a tough matchup, and even mulling to 4, it's crazy that you managed to win this game. So let me translate. Várias coisas, né, que a gente tava perguntando aqui, né? Primeiro, perdeu pra Tribe, até alguém que sabia que tava de Tribe ali, uma build que tem aparecido no Magic Online com Traben Spector. E depois acabou enfrentando bastante com o Dota, que até é uma partida que deu pra vencer, mas ele tava bastante receoso, né? Porque começar perdendo um torneio é a pior coisa possível. Mas ele conseguiu virar ali e ganhar 7 partidas seguidas. E eu tava até perguntando pra ele qual foi a partida mais difícil, né? Foi contra o Mono Red Blitz, que ele muligou a 4 no G2. Então imagina só o nível de tensão, né? Muligar a 4 numa bad match e ainda conseguiu achar um jeito de ganhar o jogo G2 e ganhar o G3. Então foi assim um torneio muito, muito difícil para chegar no top 8. So you have the really tense Swiss and then you worked on the top 8. What was the feeling on getting on the top 8?
After the Swiss round, the top 8 announcement was filled with suspense because at that point the standings program was having some issues, like they inserted a result, but instead of a win or lose was a draw. So they remake the top 8 at least 3 times.
Oh my god!
So first they announced, and I wasn't even sure to enter in the top 8 because I was sixth rating at the last Swiss round. So I had certain degrees of changes to not being able to get in the top 8. I ended in the top 8 as 8th. Or
yeah, the last place on the top 8.
the last player of the top 8. So also I started the last every match of the top 8. But
Yeah,
I
that is.
was just very happy. I mean, wow! I'm sure I'm top 8 in the biggest Pauper tournament ever played. That's amazing, man.
Yeah, yeah, and even being the last one is really crazy. So I was asking about the top 8. And para vocês terem a noção do drama, né? Eles tiveram que refazer 3 vezes o top 8, que deu alguns problemas lá no programa para fazer os pareamentos. Então imagina a loucura, né? Daí ele ficou em 8º lugar no top 8, né? E conseguiu ali, né, chegar até a final do torneio. Então, so congratulations to the top 8 and getting to the finals. Really nice. So let me ask you, how much was the prize that you get from the tournament?
So since one person wasn't feeling to split all the top 8 prize, we first played the quarterfinals, and then we split the prizes for the top 4. So regarding the how do you call it? The card market credit, because the prize pool was in Magic Card Market Credit. Magic Card Market, if you guys from Brazil don't know, is online online web online site where you can buy cards in Europe. It's not exactly a store because.
Okay.
Even if you are just a person or a store, you can steal and buy cards or any other magic related stuff on it. Is kind of similar to sites like Star City Games or Channel Fiber, because in Europe, when we want to know how much it costs one card, we take a look at Magic Card Market, because there's a tendency. So some people sell cards at certain prices, other they sell off a much more higher price. So it's very similar to Star City Games.
Yeah,
to get,
here in Brazil we have Liga Magic. It's the marketplace, and here we have Liga Magic, and it actually sponsored here the channel, and I think it's very similar to Card Market. It's the marketplace, the biggest marketplace from Europe, right? So really nice that Card Market were sponsoring the event. Really nice. And
so
about the price, it was in credits.
Yeah,
and
we got 1,400 euros each for the top 4, and also a bunch of stuff from Ultimate Guard, and also the playmat. So I'll show you.
Let me see. Okay, so he's going to bring some other prizes. Ele vai trazer algumas outras coisas que ele ganhou, além da premiação, que foi de 1.400 euros em crédito na Card Market, que é o marketplace da Europa, né? Então, um conglomerado ali de lojas e players que vão vendendo entre si. E ganhou ali uma premiação muito boa, né? De 1.400 dólares, não, né? Euros. E foi... Isso daí dá o quê? Dá uns... sei lá, 8 mil? Não sei. Depois tem que fazer a conta melhor, mas enfim.
Alright. So this one is the playmat, which as the official Paupergeddon for this event at last is the official playmat.
Okay, so winter edition. So what's the shadow on the playmat, the image, the center image? What is it?
If I remember correctly, is a rebel, because when since Flexible will be one has been released recently, before the tournament started with the registration for the tournament, they asked in the filling form which team we preferred, so rebels or oppressors, and the art of the playmat was based on which option got the more votes.
Okay, nice. It was Rebels, right?
Rebels, yeah,
Nice.
exactly.
Very nice.
So sort of like devastated world with a rebel on it.
Oh, really cool, really cool.
The finalist playmate is different
Okay.
because as an art based on a specific deck, it change usually with the Paupergeddon edition. This time was based on Altertron. And that's also a funny thing that Altertron won the tournament.
Yeah.
And then we have
Really?
stuff like Ultimate Guard, deck boxes.
Oh, cool. So you don't need to open if it's not open. And really nice. So it's a shield and a deck box.
Mm-hmm.
2 deck boxes.
Yeah, 2 deck boxes. One that can fit two decks. Yeah. Twin, flip, and tray.
Oh, really nice.
Very huge.
Cool. Nice to see.
And a couple of secret layers.
Oh, okay. Secret layers. Is it from which edition?
Secret Layer Kaldheim Part 1, Secret Layer Mark Pool. I picked them around because I usually don't. I usually am not interested in secret layers.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's nice. So a really good collection. Is there any other prizes that to show?
Yeah, we also had as a sponsor a sort of energy drink, I guess,
Okay,
because they gave one can of energy drink
actually
powder.
I drink a similar one, but it's from Brazil. It's overclock. I think it's similar. It helps concentration a little bit, and I think it must be similar to this one.
Yeah, there's a little spoon here. You have 40 servings, and there's that big bottle where you shake it.
Okay, really nice. So congratulations on all these prizes. Very well deserved. And okay, so you have answered previously some of the questions I want to ask you. This is the list that you played. I got you from your Twitter. So okay, so yeah, for sure you have answered this one. So time is a concerning factor for Tron, but how much it's something that made you really not want to play with the deck? And I didn't ask it correctly. So how much concerning is time for Tron for you?
Since I also played against fast deck, wasn't really a problem for the tournament. It was kind of troublesome against Affinity because the current Affinity deck can be early slow and can also be early slow to win again Affinity.
It can be very disruptive as well and slow you as well.
Mm-hmm. And that's part of the reason why I was playing 2 copies of the Horror in my sideboard, because against slow decks, the Horror is very powerful because you can you have another threat and it can kill faster compared to Mulldrifter. And usually in those kind of matchups, at least against Affinity, you don't want to play Rolling Thunder and you board out Rolling Thunder.
Yeah.
So time is clearly a problem sometimes. But I was also lucky with the pairings, and I faced only Jeskai. Ephemerate as a really slow deck, but I was lucky enough to always add better draws, better ends.
Yeah.
In both the games I played. Well, the matchup is already favorable, but generally speaking, in Magic, having better draws than your opponent helps a lot.
And favorite deck and a good deck and the matchup. These mid-range decks are you have, of course, a really good matchup against Affinity, against Boros and Jeskai, but it can go to time and it can be a problem. Have you go to the 5 rounds on this tournament?
If I remember correctly, not even ons. Yeah, never got in
Okay.
in
Okay.
the 5 rounds.
Really, really, really nice. So let me ask you about some specific cards. You have answered a lot about Rolling Thunder. It's a really good finisher to the deck and a really good way to abruptly win the game. And what about Scatter Ray? It's a strange card and a really new a new one. And what was behind the choice of Scatter Ray?
So when Brothers War got spoiled, I saw Scatter Ray and I was impressed by the card. The card is not really good if you compare it to cards like Counterspell or Prohibit or Exclude. But in certain situations in metagames, can be better compared to Exclude because I'm playing Scatter Ray as a third counter in my deck. And usually the third counter in Tron has to be something that can counter stuff like Moodrifter or Mnemonic Wall. So creatures that can generate value or can win the match or win the game for my opponent. Scatter Ray, so is an alternative to Exclude, and I decided to play it mostly because the meta game is faster, so a 2 mana counter is better, and also it can counter artifacts. You can compare it to Mana Lake because your opponent can pay a certain amount of mana, like example, Rhetoric Rebuke, you can pay 3 mana, but 4 mana, I believe that is a really huge amount of mana for a lot of reactive strategies in the current metagame.
Yes.
And especially since a lot of people are playing Annihilate Spellbomb in the main deck of Affinity or Dawnbringer Cleric in the main of decks like Boros or Orzhov. I wanted something able to get both those two cards, especially since you can keep Scatter Ray against those decks. And an example against Affinity, it was able to counter a Mirror Enforcer with Scatter Ray, and that felt very powerful since Exclude usually is really bad against Affinity because it costs too much mana. And that's it.
Okay.
Better.
What about Rhystic Circle? Have it
Okay,
won
so
some matches for you?
yeah, I won at least a couple of matchups because Heuristic Circle, as you can see, is intended as a way to have an instant win by tapping 4 mana. And I started on playing Heuristic Circle in this metagame because against decks like Affinity, Mono Red, or also Dimir Terror, if you land a Heuristic Circle in early game, you usually just straightforward win.
Yeah.
It's really, really annoying card for the opponent. Sometimes you play it and people doesn't have any answer, and they ask you how they can win when you play Heuristic Circle, and you say you can't. If you don't have more mana than me,
You just
it's
can't.
better to
Okay.
concede.
And one interesting thing about Rhystic Circle is that you don't need to pay the War 2 from Tolarian Terror because it doesn't target.
It doesn't target.
And also it can prevent the damage from hexproof creatures from auras. So it's basically a win button against a lot of decks, like you said, Monohead, Affinity, Boggles, Terror, and really really cool card and really hard to face sometimes. So let me just say some things about these cards that you said, but I say in Portuguese. Então, Scatter Ray acaba sendo uma carta rápida, né, por 2 manas, para poder anular ali um Muldrifter, poder anular um Mirror Enforcer, não precisar, ao contrário do Exclude, que custa 3, né, apesar de que ele também usa Exclude no sideboard, mas pro main deck, como o metagame tá muito rápido, o Scatter Ray ajuda bastante nisso. O Rolling Thunder a gente falou bastante, mas é um botão ali de vitória ali, que tu consegue finalizar o jogo. É uma carta que até tem vários momentos que ela vai ser uma carta morta, até tirada contra Affinity. E o Estudo Rístico é uma carta muito boa contra vários decks, porque não vão ter mais mana do que o Tron, né? Então o B-Terror, Mono Red, Auras, entre outros, tu vai ganhar muito, muito fácil ali com o Estudo Rístico. Continue, you have the Unravel Horror as a way to finish the game faster, right?
Exactly.
Especially against some decks like Affinity that you can also interact with the opponent.
Yeah, because often they also keep Kenko Artificer against you.
Yeah.
And if my game playing against Affinity is boarding out or Rolling Thunder because their creatures are too much big to just kill them with Rolling Thunder, and they also have a lot of graveyard 8, so it's difficult to play Rolling Thunder, then kill their creatures, play one equal, bring back Rolling Thunder. The Horror is much better. You can bounce the Kenko Artificer, Unlimited Land, and can block the Mirror Enforcer.
Yeah, it's good against Terror too, I imagine.
Yeah. It's awesome against Dreamer Terror.
It is. So you have answered previously what I was going to ask. It was about Energy Refractor and if you think it's better than Prophetic Prism, and you have
I believe so.
Yeah, and have answered. You think it is in this current meta? I believe it's almost the same, but it's a really good card because you can make a lot of colored mana with only one artifact, and it's really important. And what about excluding the sideboard? Why do you use exclude in the sideboard?
Well, Scatter Ray is reasonable. It's not awesome against slower mid-range strategies, because if the game goes longer, they can just have more mana than the energy, than the Scattery tax. So Exclude is another copy of Exclude, or another copy of counter target creature against decks with Goliath Paladin or Woodrifter. So
okay.
I had an extra slot in my sideboard, which usually is negate, but in my mind I thought that I want another card against those mid-range piles to be sure to have enough answers against their creatures or against their removal spells, so they cannot kill my card advantage engine, so one equal plus some blink effects. So which cards should I play? Probably Exclude, because if they don't resolve Goliath Paladin, I'm always winning the game. If they resolve Goliath Paladin, they may win the game, so it's better to have another counter target creature to be sure to not lose from okay, you're playing your first Goliath Paladin, okay, I counter it. Then they play a Doombringer Cleric, exile my counter from a graveyard, and then resolve another Goliath Paladin. That will be really troublesome. So I think that instead of having even more cards trying to target everything possible, it's better to have similar cards that do the same thing as other cards do in my main deck, so I can be better prepared to face specific cards that can kill me in a very specific way.
Okay, nice. So one last question about the deck that I haven't realized that, but I haven't seen. But you said that Pulse of Murasa is in the sideboard and not on the main deck. Why is the reason behind it?
Mm-hmm. Well, the reason is, I think, very similar to why I'm splitting the copies of, an example, whether the Storm, Bird Weapon, or Scatteray from main deck and sideboard, because the metagame is really variegated, so you can face a lot of different strategies, and while in the game one, you may better position it in the matchup compared to the opponent. It's probably better to have another copy just to be sure to just not die from the opponent graveyard 8 or any kind of interaction.
Okay.
So I found that Pulse of Mirage is not really good against everything in the metagame, but against certain decks, it's always better to have the second copy of Pulse of Mirage or Weather Storm or Red Weapon,
Okay, so
depending on the matchup.
how much important is Pulse of Murasa for its the effect of bringing back a creature and not the life against some decks that can interact a lot? How much do you bring it because of the recursive factor that you can recursive creatures, and how much is about the life gain?
Well, the life gain, I think that's very important against interactive strategies, because usually against those decks, you don't really want to play too many Weather the Storm, or maybe you're just sideboarding out all your copies of Weather the Storm and Moment Speeds. So having extra recursion from the graveyard and also an extra way to get life can be really powerful, or at least give you more changes to just play the first copy whenever you have the change, and then not die from a Bujuka Bog or Dawnbringer Cleric.
Okay.
This kind of deck can play a lot of cards in a singleton copy, but in my opinion, usually you are just better when you have two or more copies of the cards that are better in that matchup. So.
Okay, very, very, very nice. So just to move on. So as a reminder, you have to activate your Windows just to. Kidding. Okay, so let me explain what Adeptus said to you. So, Jinrova Horror é uma carta muito boa ali para finalizar o jogo, né? Tu vai trazer ela para finalizar o jogo rápido contra Affinity, contra o B-Terror. O Energy Refractor é uma carta que é até melhor que o Prisma ali, segundo o Adepto, é uma carta que gera bastante mana colorida, isso é muito importante. O Exclude ajuda bastante a poder anular algumas criaturas problemáticas, como o Goliath Paladino, as criaturas com dianteira, né, Initiative, e também pode ser muito bom para anular Muldrifter, apesar de ser uma carta um pouco mais lenta ali, que custa 3 manas. Em relação ao Pulse of Murasa, o Alessandro, ele não gosta muito do Pulse of Murasa no main deck, porque às vezes acaba não sendo uma carta tão boa, dependendo da matchup. Mas é que ela vai entrar muito bem no sideboard para ter uma recursividade contra alguns decks ali, como talvez um Fadas, algum deck que tu vai querer ter alguma recursividade que também ganhe vida, já que os ganhos de vida, como o Ether the Storm e a Paz Momentânea, né, que não ganha vida, mas faz o Fog, acabam não sendo tão bons assim, né? Então o Pulse of Murasa entra muito bem nessa questão para ter esse dobro, poder ganhar vida e ter a recursividade, e também contra a Mono Red, ganhar 6 de vida acaba sendo muito, muito bom. Quanto mais, melhor. So, for us to end the video, so this is the last question I want to make. I want to ask you. What are the three worst matchups for Fogtron?
Okay, so I believe the three worst matchups you may say that are Wolf's Combo first, because Wolf's Combo is just too much powerful for Fogtron. They have better mana ramp. Fogtron doesn't have enough removal spells, because usually I just try to lock with fog effects or life gains or counter spells. And they also can play more spells, more interaction than you, so it's very, very, it's just terrible. Then there's elves, because elves is just is the same kind of deck for Fogtron at least. So they have better mana. They can have plenty interaction. They can also kill you very fast on turn 4, Walls combo by comboing off elves with Timberwatch elf, or if you fog off them, they can have Arch Sustenance, Viridian Longbow, or even Valakut Invoker, because I've lost 5-0 to elves playing Valakut Invoker in the sideboard. That was really painful. And then last deck is, I guess, the most annoying deck, at least for our friends inside in Raken, which is Gruul Land Destruction.
Yeah, Siding doesn't like this deck. And what about the matchup against familiars? How do you see this matchup?
I think that is very favorable for Fortron, because the decks are kind of more or less the same deck. So control style shell with Ephemerate and Ghostly Flicker, but familiars is relying on Sunscape Familiar as a way to get mana ramp. Fortron is relying on having 3 Urza lands and 1 Energy Refractor on the battlefield to get the same thing. Yeah, you are paying 5 mana to cast your Muldrifter instead of 4 or 2 mana or whatever. But you also have Mystical Teachings, which is really powerful because it can get you a lot of different kinds of spells. You can also play different Horror. You can also play removal spells like Destroy Evil, Cast Down, Lightning Bolt, or even Breath Weapon. Breath Weapon can be troublesome for familiars, because if they want to target the Archamancer with Ephemerate, you can kill their Muldrifters and their Archamancer, and that can be really troublesome, especially since they don't have recursion from the graveyard beside Mortuary Mire. And then you also play Bujuka Bug. So you can also interact with their graveyard, and Mnemonic Wall plus Glister Flicker and Bujuka Bog is another very troublesome card for Familiar. So if Familiars as Tooth, Sunscape Familiar in the early game is favorable for Familiar, but if they don't have, and Tron has the Urza Tron by turn 3 or turn 4, is in that case is favorable for Tron.
Okay, so that's it. So the last question was about as 3 piores bad matches, né? Daí falou ali sobre o Barreiras, porque não tem como interagir, é muito rápido. Também tem o Elfos, né? Um deck muito forte ali que vai matar muito rápido e vai interagir bastante com Dispel, Hydro, esse tipo de coisa. E também o... What was the last one? It was Land Destruction. Yeah. So Land Destruction was the last bad matchup for Tron. It's a really, né? O LD vai destruir os terrenos do Tron, vai colocar pressão rápido. So, thanks a lot, Alessandro. Thanks a lot, Adepto and Alessandro for the talk. It was a real pleasure to me to be talking with you. Congratulations
It's my pleasure.
on the result. It was a great result on a great tournament. And also congratulations to the organization of the tournament and to the Golden Peaks that also have a lot of really good results in Paupergeddons. I know that Heisen has a lot of top 8s as well. And that's it. Thanks a lot. I'm very happy. What are your final words if you want to send some message?
It was my pleasure to be here with you talking about the tournament. I'd like to say that we Italians love the Brazilian community, because it's always a pleasure to see guys like you, Alexander, publishing new videos on YouTube or streaming. Also, you guys also have new ideas about decks that can be very different, an example compared to from my point of view. So it's always amazing to see how the Pauper can be perceived by other peoples, and the Brazilian community is also really huge, and I just like it.
Okay, very nice. Cool words. And thanks a lot again. And that's it. Bye bye. And yeah, the Brazilian community also likes a lot the Italian community, and it's a very we are very connected, the Italian and the Brazilian, but also all the world, the U.S. community, pauper community, other other countries from Europe and other places in the world, Japan, for example, are very connected, and that's what makes Pauper so great, in my opinion. Another thing that makes Pauper great, and that's it. And we are ending the talk with the great Adepto, the great Alessandro. Bye bye.